Hello, everybody. Welcome back to All Our Parts. Welcome to All Our Parts if you are new here. I am so excited for my guest today. Her IG is Connect with Megan. She is a licensed therapist that centers around healing the inner child, correcting the perfectionist tendencies that we learn really early, and starting a new TikTok. She's also the podcast host of Good Girls Gotta Heal. Megan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Jazz, thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor to be here with you.
Of course. So, why inner child work? It's a phrase we hear so often. Why did that speak to you?
Such a great question. I found that inner child work, it's totally been my healing process when I didn't even realize that was it at the time. In my 16 years of therapy, when I look back at everything, that is the heart and the core of everything that has resulted in profound change and transformation and growth, especially in me feeling more comfortable and grounded and confident in myself, both personally and professionally. And so I feel so passionate about it. And that is why that's become the focus of my work. And of course, I know they say that as a therapist, your ideal client that you work with is really just a former version of you. I'd say
Oof.
that's true here.
That is very true. And what does it mean? Again, we hear the word inner child, work with the inner child, heal the inner
Mhm.
child. How do you approach it?
It's a great question. So, wanted to create a structure around it to make it more clear and to make it more digestible because when you think of it, it feels very confusing. What actually is it? Like my inner child, I'm an adult. It can be very vague, the average person who's hearing about it or thinking about it. I've created an acronym around it actually to help us understand it deeper, which is the SAFE acronym, which, as I think, to step into inner child healing work, we have to establish a sense of safety to do because oftentimes we are revisiting past feelings and experiences that didn't feel safe at the time. And it's important to know that why we revisit this, why we do this work is because our inner child, whether we like it or not, is showing up in our everyday lives. It's showing up, especially in our relationships, because
Mhm.
it was relational trauma to start with. And so it comes out in our relationships. It's why we keep being attracted to the same kind of partner that doesn't meet our needs and we get so
Mhm.
frustrated with. It's why we maybe feel insecure in our friendships and in our family relationships. So we revisit it in order to help work on these present things. And so when we're revisiting it, if we take the SAFE acronym, the first one is that S, we see, right? We
Okay.
see her, we see our inner child. Then the biggest piece of that is actually like being with her, sitting with her in the sadness, right? The isolation, the loneliness, the anger that she felt at the time that nobody sat with her in. And okay, we're good. In sitting with her and sitting with her inner child, especially in sitting with the pain that she felt, we are helping to validate your and her experience. And for so
Mhm.
often, when someone doesn't sit with us in those emotions and feelings, we develop coping mechanisms and strategies to not feel those feelings, which tends to be for a lot of us, can be that people pleasing side. The hey, if I can be good enough for you and what you want me to be, or if I shape myself into what I think you want, then I'm going to feel emotionally at ease. But the second that shifts and I feel like you're mad at me, oh my gosh, I feel so
Mhm.
scared and overwhelmed and dysregulated. And so it just creates this dynamic that makes it so hard for us to be connected to ourselves because we're constantly scanning for our own sense of safety in the emotions and the moods and the relationships of other people. So the more that we can sit with ourselves and especially our younger self, one, to in doing this work, to have a picture of yourself present, like a picture of your child self present with you. At my other desk, I do have one. And just to be able to look at her and to be able to say, oh, girl, I see how sad you are and how scared you are. And for her to be seen in that way is actually meeting the emotional needs that went unmet for so long.
Mm.
And so, in meeting those needs here and now, we're giving our adult self permission to feel sad, to feel angry, to not feel like, okay, I have to say yes to this thing with my friend because they're going to be mad at me if I don't. When you're like, I'm really overwhelmed and actually I can't do it.
Yeah.
When we honor that, we stay true to ourselves. And then actually, sure, it's uncomfortable at first, but then we feel more regulated afterwards because we stayed aligned. So that is the S portion. The A is accept. So we want to accept her for
Okay.
all that she is, all that she feels. Because again, so much of our inner child wounds go back to the ways in which we felt like pieces of ourselves, all our parts, right? Pieces of ourselves
Mhm.
were not acceptable. And that I can't be angry because then I don't feel safe in this relationship. So I have to be good. I have to be exactly what you want me to be in order to feel safe. And everything, again, everything goes back to that sense of safety and connection, often with our primary caregivers. And
Mhm.
so we want to accept all the parts, especially the messy ones, especially the ones
Mhm.
that feel like they're failing or are imperfect, because again, those are the ones that cause us the most anguish and trouble in adulthood. And of course, this is one I still deal with all the time. It's one that is never going to be fully, quote unquote, fixed, but it's one that I can have a more compassionate relationship when I remember I need to accept this part of me because that younger part needs to know she's allowed to be messy. She's allowed to say a bad word. She's allowed to tell someone, this is what I really want for dinner. So there's that part. Then F is free.
Mhm.
So this is to really free yourself from the responsibility for other people's emotion, freeing yourself for all of the responsibility that you've taken on yourself, that you feel like, oh, this is my fault. I am somehow inherently bad or unworthy. When really it was, right, your caregiver's
Mhm.
inability to offer you healthy and safe emotional attunement. And
Yeah.
so being able to do that shift is such a key, powerful component to remember it's not your fault. It's not your fault, right? You were a
Mhm.
kid. You had needs that weren't met. And then E is to empower. So we want to empower these younger parts of you. For me, a big piece of this is play and
Mhm.
creativity. So when we're kids, naturally we explore the world through our play, through our art, through our music, through our songs, through our dance. And so many of us, that part of us gets shut off, whether we are feeling traumatized, so we're like actually not able to step into a playful self, or it is that you've been told like you're not a good singer or your art sucks. And then we all of a sudden feel like, okay, not good enough, can't engage in it. This is why I went into music therapy as my entry point into therapy work, because for me, expressing myself through song was the only way I could have access to my real feelings.
Okay.
Like I will read and look back at songs that I wrote as a teenager. And I remember at the time thinking, like, this isn't about anything. This is just me
Mhm.
making this up. And then I read it again and I'm like, oh, sweet girl,
Yeah.
you were dealing with your abandonment stuff in the songs. So really empowering through being able to be creative, express yourself, and also work on expressing yourself inside of your relationships in a way that is
Mhm.
clear, that is direct, that is where you're setting boundaries, holding
Mhm.
boundaries, really making your needs and your feelings known with the people
Yeah.
around you. So to me, that is what sums up what inner child work is. It's really this thread between sitting with these younger parts of you and threading in all of the unmet needs into your and meeting those needs in your day-to-day life today.
I love the permission piece that you really emphasize. When we think about giving our adult selves, our present selves permission, we're really tapping into that unhealed part of us who couldn't always say no if they didn't want to do something, who
Yeah.
couldn't make a mess through play, who couldn't do
Hmm.
whatever it may be. So there's multiple layers of healing that's happening, and there's multiple corrective experience that's happening when we give present us permission to do the thing that our younger selves couldn't do.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best. It's because when you think about how would your younger self feel about that? Oh my
Mhm.
God, they'd be like, cool, this is great. Awesome. Wow. What a relief that we
Mhm.
finally get to do it.
And you mentioned music being a really healing and creative
Hmm.
outlet for you, so
Yeah,
much so that you sing a cappella.
I do sing a cappella. I've been actively in an a cappella group since high school. In college, I was in an all-female a cappella group, a la Pitch Perfect. Pitch Perfect came out around that time, so that was fun. But then actually, I didn't know this was a thing, but there are some post-collegiate, like semi-professional a cappella groups in New York when I was living there, full of 20-somethings who all did college a cappella and didn't want to stop. And so I did that for 7 years. Then when I moved to back to Chicago. There was a girl in my group in New York who we both are from Chicago and always joked like when we settle down with our families and go back, we'll start one day. And then we did. So a year ago, we started another group here and we meet every 2 weeks and we sing fun songs. We perform. We had a show about a month ago and it's so much fun. It's a really nice way, number one, to connect. Like this
Hmm.
is actually such the reason I've done it for so long is it is this beautiful source of community. Anytime that I'm working with a client who is feeling disconnected or feeling like they're not having community, I'll always say finding something that is like a set meeting that you go to regularly. It's a beautiful way for nobody to have to be in charge of saying, hey, do you want to hang out at this time? Do you want to hang out at this time? But it's set, right? You know that I'm going to
Yeah.
go there and these people are going to be there. And then naturally over time, you develop really meaningful relationships and connections. And especially to share it in music is just really extra powerful.
When you were sharing about it, that was my first thought is the community, the connection aspect, you all
Hmm.
sharing and a passion together, getting to be creative together, being able to collaborate, especially create something meaningful together. Like that's the first thing that came to mind. And I imagine that was one piece of what drew you to it. But also, it sounds like a lot of healing your inner child has been getting in spaces where you allow
Hmm.
yourself to feel seen.
Yes, totally. And to have my voice be heard. This is probably why I'm recently obsessed with this mini microphone. I ordered one because I'm like, let's see what it's all about. It has activated this inner child part of me that is
Okay.
like, ooh, this is fun. My voice is amplified because that is whew, direct line to my stuff is just, right, not having a voice and
Hmm.
feeling really quiet and small. And so anything that amplifies it, whether it's singing, the tiny microphone, it actually is really a beautiful connection to that part.
Yeah. What feels challenging about allowing your voice to be heard? What it sounds like
Mhm.
it has been healing, but what's the other side of it?
Totally. Oh my God, terrifying. It is terrifying. I think especially as the Instagram platform grew, and of course it grew a lot as a result of one reel, and so that happened very quickly. And all of a sudden, I went from 2,000 followers to 75, 80,000 followers. Lots of more eyes are on me, and that was really scary. And it was that thing of you want something to happen, and then when it does, you're like, wait, holy crap. That actually felt really scary and actually made me right? The wound came up and made me want to be more quiet
Mhm.
and to be like, whoa, too much, it's too bright. And of course, it's related to that being seen. And especially that links back to your inner child stuff. So many of us, when you're not emotionally attuned to in the most healthy, connected way, you don't feel seen. And so then when you are, it can be really dysregulating because then all of your insecurities come up and you're like, oh, what if I say something wrong? What if this doesn't land? What if they think I sound dumb or stupid? That is totally a filter that I do have to go through anytime, especially I share something that is me talking.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that is something I think why really starting the podcast and sticking to the podcast has been really important is because I know that I need to strengthen that. I need to get more comfortable with that and really own it. Because if I'm being really like honest and authentic with myself, you know what? I actually feel like, yeah, I actually love that. I love to share and to teach and to
Mm-hmm.
talk. Like it's the reason why like the one-to-one work with a client is just where I excel. And I love, like, to me, I am not self-conscious about what I'm saying or how I'm saying it when
Mm-hmm.
I'm with a client because I'm so connected in that way. The
Yeah.
thing I think with social media is that you're doing this, but you're not having that like direct
Mm-hmm.
connection back with someone. Yes, people are liking and commenting, but it's more superficial. And then I think sometimes you get stuck as to like, where's the meaning in it? Because inherently, like, I get so much value from relational components. So it definitely triggers some deep insecurity pieces. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
I just actually recently recorded a solo episode on talking about how corrective it's been to show up on social media, to create a
Hmm.
podcast, to go from someone who would prefer being invisible to
Yeah.
now being someone who is slowly but surely becoming more comfortable with being visible,
Hmm.
and how empowering it's been and how
Hmm.
my inner child is like looking up and is, oh my goodness, you're like letting me show up in the world
Yeah.
and be myself. When you say that, there's so many feelings that come up with healing the inner
Hmm.
child. There's like
Oof.
joy, there's like excitement there and
Hmm.
allowing, and there's also the fear that is conditioned in us. What if they don't like me? What if they don't like what I have to
Hmm.
say? What if they don't
Yes.
agree with me? So many layers to it.
It's so hard. And so much of it too is like having to be like, okay, they're gonna think what they want. And if it doesn't resonate with them, that's okay. And that it's my work to do to be able to tolerate that discomfort
Mhm.
and also be able to know and also almost to de-gamify it because all of us, everything, every single one of us here listening, there is this gameness to social media of like how many likes are you getting, how many views are you getting, how many shares, that's the goal, but also it's not. And I think especially when it comes to our inner child, I think a place where I get stuck is when I've noticed myself being focused on that. It's totally coming up in actually starting to post on TikTok as we have communicated about. Because I'm like, I have not posted there. I have zero. I have a large following on Instagram, like zero people there.
Mhm.
And so that, whoa, bringing up all of the, am I allowed to go here? Will people like me here? And how that insecurity has totally been at the surface. But also, again, I bring myself back to what is my goal? Like, what is my goal of doing this at all? And it always comes back to, you know what? I want to be a vessel for someone else to really see themselves, to really see their experience, and to step deeper into their own healing work, to then eventually experience the release of the old wounds or the reconfiguring your relationship to them. Because
Mhm.
as you're seeing me go through in real time, is that the wounds are present, the insecurities are present, and really the work has been to, okay, I can reframe. I
Mhm.
can I can totally bring compassion to that part of me that is feeling insecure, reset, understand my intention, and let that be the guide. The
Yeah.
intention is the guide, not the likes, the views, all of that.
And that is so important to emphasize is that whenever we step out into a new venture, whenever we're trying something new, trying something totally out of our comfort zone, we have to remember our larger why because the
Yeah.
likes, the views, all of it
Yes.
is fleeting. You don't necessarily connect with every single person that you engage with
Totally.
on social media. And so when that moment of, at least for me, wanting to run or want be like, okay, you know what? I'm just closing all
I'm
this
out.
down,
Yes.
do something else. I have to remind myself that there is a larger purpose. There is a larger
Hmm.
why to
Yes.
why I'm doing this. And that
Totally.
is a really grounding force.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually experienced this in real time yesterday after going to the Boston Marathon a few weeks ago to watch my sister-in-law run it. My husband and I both have run in the past. Like I've did a lot of running in my early to mid 20s, was like always doing a half marathon because that was the only thing that would get me to run consistently was to have the goal at the end. But I haven't run since before getting pregnant with my son, so that's going to be like 3 years ago now.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. It's a nice day. I've got more time in my calendar this week. I'm gonna put my gym shoes on and I'm gonna go for a run. Honestly, I get zero point 0.4 miles in and I'm like, holy crap, this is really hard. This is way hard. Why does this feel so hard right now? And of course, the content creator in me was like, you know what? I could make a lesson out of this. Was I really like distracting myself from the running? Yes. But I like did a little video for my broadcast channel and said, you know what? I really want to stop. Everything in me wants to stop because this feels really hard and I feel like I can't do it. Now, this is the short-term discomfort in service of the longer-term goal of, yeah, I want to be reconditioned and
Mhm.
able to run because I know it's good for me. And this getting through this really hard beginning part takes a lot, right? It takes a lot of consistency and dedication,
Mhm.
and it's going to be hard for a while, but eventually I know it'll get easier.
Mhm.
And that's the piece we have to hold on to. And
Yeah.
especially as it relates to this social media, to our healing journey, to all of it.
I also hear you navigating, you've crushed in one area or you've crushed running before, and you're now allowing yourself to go into a
Mhm.
very different platform. And so you see where you have been successful, where you are
Mhm.
successful. And I imagine there's a part that's, do I have to step over here? Can I just stay where it's already safe, where it's already
Mhm.
established, where I know the landscape, where I already know
Yes.
what's happening?
So true.
Same with running, same with TikTok, but you are allowing yourself to say, you know what? There's a
Yeah.
larger why, there's a larger
Hmm.
purpose, and I am safe. I am in a safe space to
Right.
step into new territory or retry
Yeah.
similar
Oh,
territory.
yes. So the chapter I am in, you're right. And I love the link. Thank you for linking that. In so many ways, it's the same. It is absolutely the same. And it actually has been one that I've been resisting for a while. But I have felt it of, okay, this has worked in one way. And I'm so proud of all that I've built from it in the past year. Really proud of myself. And know when the little knowing, the whisper comes in of it's time to keep growing and time to expand. I'm like, no, but yeah, it's safe and comfortable here. And I don't want to have to do anything different. And if I want to stay in alignment with the larger goals that I have for myself, yeah, I have to reach out. I have to expand. My business manager actually really wants me to be active on LinkedIn. I was like, interesting. Okay. Sure. Different vibe than TikTok, I'm sure. But truly, yeah, having to be this to be new and to start something new. I think actually it's a great way to connect back to your inner child as well. Just remind this part of me that is so worried of, oh my gosh, are they going to like me here? Just, you are worthy, right? You
Mhm.
are worthy. And whoever aligns with you here is going to align with you, but you are going to continue again to do the work that you feel passionate about and let that continue to be the goal.
We'll connect offline on LinkedIn. I'm over there a little bit, so I
Are
can tell
you?
you
Oh
what
my
it's I
gosh,
can tell you what it's
yes.
like over there.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay.
It
Yes.
is a
So
different
many
planet,
questions.
but
Sure.
something's cooking over there for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm so resonating with so much of what you're saying. Honestly, this week is the first week that I've really looked at my social media analytics. So I've been in the
Mm-hmm.
space now for a year and a half, and I the cushion that I have right now, I'm like, okay, I have this safe cushion that I know things are interesting. I know things are growing. And so now I can
Hmm.
look at what is actually engaging and exciting. What
Yes.
do I need to do more of? What can I do less of? And that tugs on the inner child part of me that feels like they have to do everything.
Oh God. Yep. The
They
things
need to be the master.
of all. Yeah. And you are. Sorry, I'm totally giving validation to that part. And because I know they need to hear it. And of course, making space for the like, and you don't have to. You can focus on what brings you joy and what are the things you feel resistant to. Okay, let them go. And honestly, to me, that was TikTok for a long time. I'm like, I don't go there. I don't look there. I just don't use it. It's very much the millennial in me. But I don't know, Jazz and our friend Becca and I were doing another cool venture opportunity. And we communicated on Friday where I said, guys, I'm really tired. I'm really tired of all the effort and the daily, like just it's like Groundhog Day every day with social
Mhm.
media. And then literally on Sunday, I post on TikTok and Jazz is like, hey,
Welcome to the
okay.
party.
I was like, yes, it says I want to stop and literally joins a new platform. The energy is there. And actually, I'm feeling like, you know what, cool. This feels fun and new and exciting. And actually, the creative way that
Mhm.
meets the creative side of me that wants to explore and play and see what happens over there.
And we are growing and evolving. So we're learning that we can stop at any time. If there's a platform that
Yes,
isn't resonating as much,
totally.
if there is content that we want to lean more into, that inner child gets to have choice. So
Hmm.
much autonomy in looking at TikTok and saying, you know what? I want to slow down over here and focus more on Instagram, or I want to, how can I bolster the podcast? What do I need to do to
Hmm.
make steps towards that?
Yeah.
It's not just one thing that the inner child needs. It's flexibility, it's autonomy, it's independence, it's
Yeah.
joy and creativity.
Absolutely. It's that permission, right? That permission to wherever you are is okay. It's not a failure. You don't have to be perfect. That you get to make another choice today in this moment that aligns with you here and now. And that can be different from a day ago, from 10 minutes ago. But the more that you return to yourself in the present moment and listen to what you need, what you want, the better.
Took note of that because I needed to hear that for sure. It's being able to change, knowing that you are returning to yourself every single time. Every time you allow yourself the space to grow, you are returning to yourself. And this
Yeah.
is like everything that you're talking about is so in line with your show name of Good Girls Gotta Heal.
Yeah, because it's taking that. So many of us, I think, identify with the role of the good girl, right? The one who does it all, quote unquote, who gets good grades, who shows up for everybody in her life, who follows the rules, does not get in trouble. All of these things, this mask essentially that we've learned to wear in order to feel safe and connected. Underneath the mask, it doesn't look the same on the outside. There's a lot of anguish and anxiety and
Mhm.
spiraling and depression and so much tension and discord internally that doesn't match the external view. And so much of this work, the goal is how do we make it all integrated? How do we make the internal experience external? And that is through the permission that
Mhm.
all the messy stuff inside gets to be expressed outside, and you will still be loved. You'll still be loved and accepted, and anybody that doesn't just might not be for you, and that's okay. And we can have hard conversations with them, but we don't need to make ourselves smaller or lesser or shift and change what we actually want in order to make someone else feel more regulated. No, we really have to just learn to tolerate the discomfort of what it means for someone else to not be 100% okay with us
Mhm.
and maybe the things that we want that aren't in alignment with what they want.
Oh, the early stages of that, and even sometimes, because every situation is the same and also different, but that is a really hard place to get to, I feel like.
Oh my God. It is so hard. It's so hard. And again, it's one that I don't think ever gets, it doesn't, like, I'm never walking around being like, yeah, you could be mad at me and I am so okay with it. It's really, okay, you're mad at me. And I have to, again, have to come back to, am I being honest, right? Am I being authentic? Is like my inner truth external? It is. Okay. Is my boundary set? Great. So my work is done. The disappointment or the frustration and the anger is theirs to do. And then, of course, there's a whole lot of sadness when it's maybe someone who isn't doing that work or can't do the work or you don't trust that they ever will. So then it comes back to you with some grief to feel and having to sit with the fact that you can't fix someone else to be who you need them to be for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I always, when I'm working with clients, I always say there's a lot of nuance to this, but I always say their feelings are not your responsibility. Yes, we always want to consider the people that we love and care about. We always want to keep people in the forefront to not turn
Mhm.
into a selfish
Sure.
person.
Yeah.
And when we get to a space where we start abandoning ourselves completely, where we start abandoning our own feelings, needs, boundaries,
Yeah.
we really have to look at the clear distinction between what's ours to carry and what is the other person's work to do. Because
Yeah.
for good girls who have grown
Mhm.
up trying to keep the peace, trying to make everyone in the space comfortable, theirs a bit ago was also ours. And it was confusing
Mm.
and it was muddled and it was a lot of work to be able to parse what was the difference, what was
Yeah.
the distinction between the two. But truly, what is someone else's work is their work, and you get to
Yeah.
internally scream, you get to internally have all the feelings, and remind yourself that you are giving yourself permission to return to yourself,
Mhm.
giving
Yeah.
yourself permission
Exactly.
to advocate and stand up for
Hmm.
yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I use this example with clients all the time to explore boundaries. Like I'll say, my 2-year-old, usually it's when it always happens if I'm on my phone and he wants attention, that's the sign that I take. It's not that he's a bad kid, but it's telling me something. But I can also say, hey, Michael, you can be frustrated. I'm going to validate your feeling, but I'm not going to let you hit me. And that's another way with adults is that you can be frustrated. I'm not going to let you speak to me that way. I'm going to hang up the phone or I'm going to leave the room because that's not something I am allowing into my inner space because I'm
Yeah.
not absorbing that. That's not mine, that's yours. And if you can figure out a way to communicate that in a more connected, compassionate way, I am all about compassionate, connected conflict
Mhm.
because conflict can be compassionate and connected. Once we all regulate, we can speak to each other in really connected ways that help each other feel heard and feel seen, which is the root of every conflict ever, is just someone really wanting to be validated and seen
Mhm.
by the other person. And so part of this work too is really learning to get to that place where you are, right, you're such an advocate for yourself and what you will and won't allow to be absorbed.
I need to learn how to train that into my dog. So if he wants attention, he'll smack the phone out of my hand. He's not a cam. I wish he would be a content dog, but he hates the
God.
camera. He doesn't look
Oh,
at it. But
wow.
especially if I'm sitting on the couch on my phone, he
Yeah.
will. He's
Yeah.
whacks
What
it
is,
right out of my hand.
what's your dog's name?
Harper.
Harper. And I think I saw a picture, a doodle, right? Golden doodle.
Yeah.
My Molly is a golden doodle. So yeah, I had the same experience of the and pet
But
me.
I just put my phone down and get
Yeah,
one step at a time.
I know, totally. And really validating or highlighting the behavior we want to see when they're sitting, or honestly for my son, it's when he comes over and says, "Can you help me?" Yes, of course. I
Mhm.
love how you asked me that, right? Like really highlighting and giving a lot of love and validation to those really connected moments where it's the behavior we want to see. Yeah.
I hope this episode for my listeners just feels like a hug to their inner child. I know that's how I feel
Yeah.
right now, being able to talk with you. As a final question, I love to always leave
Mhm.
something tangible. What is the first step you always offer your clients when they want to do the work of healing their inner child?
Mhm. I think I'd go back to the picture, getting the picture, because that's going to put you into relationship with her in a more tangible way. So this way to see her and to say, "Hey, there you are. I see you." And then to be able to be with her in that way and just if you can just validate what you see her feeling. I see you feeling maybe sad or curious or overwhelmed. I see that. Because for many, I have clients who, in my group program that I do, we do a module on it, and it can be a really hard one. It's a really hard one for people to step into because there's so much charge to it. Oh, I don't even want to go back there.
Mm.
But unfortunately, the only way out is through. And so the only way to keep those wounds from impacting us every day is to step in. And so I just like to just spend that gentle moment of just looking at her, validate what she's feeling, and then we can dive in deeper into the experiences she went through and how can we be with her, be present to those, and then go deeper in. But I think that's a good way to start.
Yes. And I would tack on establishing safety too.
Yes, of course. And I would let yourself think about what are the ways in which you feel safe? Who are the
Mhm.
people you feel safe with? And then what are the literally like items in your environment that make you feel safe? Like to
Mhm.
me, like getting under the covers in my bed, oh my God, best feeling ever. When I'm here in the office, like sometimes I'll bring a fuzzy blanket because that feels a bit more grounding and helps my nervous system feel more at ease and safe. So really thinking about who are those people? What are those spaces and tangible things for you?
Yes. If you're interested in connecting with Megan and play on your thing, interested in connecting with Megan, finding her Instagram or TikTok, everything will be linked in the show notes as well as her podcast, Good Girls Gotta Heal.
My commitment to myself for 2025 is to do the hard new things, is to let myself lean into that and trust myself that it will continue to lead me where I want to go, even if I don't feel it at this moment. But just that leaning into the new, tolerating the discomfort, trusting myself, moving into the unknown.
Mhm. Oh, very nice. Thank you so much for
Thanks.
joining me today.
Thank you, Jazz.
Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode. Make sure you tap the bell to stay in the loop with new episodes dropping every Friday. If this episode spoke to you, I'd be so grateful if you left a review. It helps others find the show and reminds me why I keep showing up. And if you want to keep the conversation going, come hang with me on socials at Healing with Jasmine. We're healing out loud together.